Good morning, scallywags. I'm Danny.
And I'm Shrew. Welcome to the show.
Today's Thursday, and we're going to talk about the weather.
It's always a good topic of conversation to kick things off. So.
Living here, if you don't like it, just wait a little bit. It'll change. And
you can't take the heat. Just wait about 5 minutes or so. It'll change.
So what do you got first off?
Well, today we're going to be looking at more of the extreme forms of weather out there. Not just weird weather, but extreme weird weather. For example, the most rain ever recorded in 1 minute. This happened in Maryland back on July 4th, 1956. On that day, a gauge in this western Maryland town recorded 1.23 inches of rain in 1 minute. I mean, just think about that. That's like...
Well, I mean, when we talk about rain, a lot of times the forecasters will definitely talk, well, you're going to get a rain event of 1 to 2 inches. That's generally over several hours. Yeah. Not in a minute.
I mean, this is like just somebody taking a bucket of water and just dumping it over a town.
There's a really big bucket of water. I can't even imagine how that would have sounded or even looked.
It said basically the dark skies give way to a downpour that falls so fast and so heavily that it's hard to see more than a few feet in front of you. Not only the heaviest rain that you can basically imagine there that happened in Unionville, Maryland, back in 1956, between the time of 3:23 and 3:24 on a hot, humid afternoon. Yeah. And it wasn't a part of a tropical storm or a hurricane. It basically was just an everyday summer storm.
Wow. Talking about a lot of rain, the next clip I've got comes from Taiwan. They've been experiencing some rather unsettled weather through there. But here in the States, we have a phrase that bears to be repeating, that if you can't see the road, turn around, don't drown. This bus driver has got a set.
It makes me think of like when you go to Branson or whatever, and you can ride the ducks. They've got those amphibious. It's like an amphibious bus, basically.
That was water over his windshield.
Now, you think about a bus, how high up the front windows of a bus are. I mean, you're talking, what, 5-6 feet up in the air?
Easy, yeah, easy.
And that's flood water, right?
Yeah, that's flood water.
I mean, flood water, that's usually, pretty fast moving stuff.
I guess he had to make his round. He was afraid of getting fired.
Maybe,
wow,
I guess.
I still can't even believe that.
He's got a deadline. He's got someplace to be.
He's got some place to be.
Well, speaking of fast-moving things, this is going to be the farthest tornado-tossed debris. Speaking of fast-moving things here. A destructive tornado can tear apart a home in an instant. When extreme winds rip apart a building, the debris scatters sometimes for miles, and I just spit everywhere. I don't know if you saw that. Sometimes for miles, usually never to be found by its original owners again. Every once in a while, though, far-flung wreckage can be traced back to where it originated. Such was the case in Stockton, Kansas on April the 11th, 1991, after an F3 tornado tore through the town, damaging and destroying several homes in the rural community. After the storm passed through, someone found a personal check from Stockton all the way in Winnetoon, Nebraska. That is an astounding 223 miles away.
Wow.
Now, back when the Joplin tornado happened, we're here in Springfield, Missouri. That's about, what is it, about
85 miles away.
84 miles, I think, between here and Joplin. And I actually lived in Willard at the time, so just a little further out than that, about 90 miles away. And we actually had mail and a few photographs from Joplin that landed in our front yard.
Yeah, we did as well. I lived on the north side of Springfield at that time, and we actually had medical records fall, shredded medical records from the hospital. Not a lot, just little pieces of paper, but it's just going to show you once light stuff gets up in the air, it tends to go a long way.
Not even light stuff, but back during, what was it, 2004, I believe, May 4th tornadoes, 2004, that tore up Stockton and Battlefield and Pierce City and stuff like that. I lived in these apartments on the south end of Springfield, and we had a piece of styrofoam insulation, or styrofoam insulation, probably about the size of like a picnic table, I would say, giving just a general idea of how large it was. But come flying out of the sky and landed in the parking lot of the building next to the apartment that I lived in. So, granted, this was, that only, I mean, not quite as far as Joplin, perhaps, but even from Battlefield, you're talking a good
5-10 miles.
5-10 miles easily, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Scoochie.
The Joplin tornado, you mean, that was in like 2000?
May 11th.
Yeah, that was that.
May 11th. Yeah, we did.
We were on the north side.
No, we weren't on the north side. We were on south side on Erie. Yes, we were.
Mm-hmm.
We were on Erie Street. Fact checked. She did. That's
Schooled you.
schooled me. Yes. No, it was
Him a liar.
It was the Pierce City tornado.
Okay.
That's the one that I was thinking when we lived on north side town.
Something like
Speaking of tornadoes, everyone kind of knows that they're big and destructive and scary, but they have a smaller cousin called dust devils, snow devils, fog devils.
I actually have an up close experience with that stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah, I've played in them. I've ridden bikes through them on dusty, sunny afternoons. These kids here look like they're having a blast.
That reminds me of I was probably 5 or 6 years old playing Little League, and we actually they canceled a game. There was a dust devil that was so big that you could see it on the horizon. And oddly enough, it actually did go on. There was a tornado that night. Well, the dust devil. I mean, this thing was massive, and it was on our way home. So it's me and my sister, my mom and my dad, and we actually stopped and got out, and we're standing about as close as these guys are to this one. Although that one was not even near the size of the thing that we were up to. And because there ended up being a tornado that night that actually did quite a bit of damage, nobody ever believed me that we were that close to it. They're like, "Oh, you didn't get that close to it." It's like, well, it wasn't a tornado. It was a dust. Mm-hmm. No, there was a tornado. Well, okay, I realized there was a tornado. But yeah, so we got out and we were standing right next to the thing, and nobody ever believed us on that. But yeah, that did happen. I mean, yeah, there's some wind, but it's not anything like standing next to an actual tornado.
Yeah, no, definitely not.
As you can see, they were right there.
Yep.
Moving on, we've got in Oklahoma the longest lightning bolt in history. This is 199.5 mile long. It's a 200-mile long lightning bolt that lit up the sky over Oklahoma on June 20th of 2007. It stretched from east to west across more than half of the large flat state. That's officially the longest lightning bolt ever recorded, a brand new record that's waiting to be broken by another enterprising storm in the future. A few years later, the longest duration lightning bolt ever recorded lit up over southern France on August 30th in 2012. Most lightning lasts for only a fraction of a second, but this particular flash stretched nearly 100 miles across the southern Alps, and it lasted for an astonishing 7.74 seconds.
Can you even measure length?
They've got equipment.
They've got equipment. Science. Science.
No, I'm actually going to save this one for last, because this is one that I've actually talked about quite a bit. This is I read this in an Uncle John's bathroom reader.
Up next, we've got an incredibly large sail. This was looks like it's probably in Denmark, somewhere in Europe. I'll just let the clip speak for itself.
Det vælter. Fuck, hvor det vælter, mand. Hvor er det sindssygt, mand.
I don't know why I expect to see like Mary Poppins pop up out of that for some reason. I'm Mary Poppins, y'all! I just expected, I don't know why, I just expected just coming in on her little umbrella, floating around.
Just goes to show you that you know, even as secure as you think you can make something, it's never truly secure when Mother Nature's around.
I don't know what Shakira has to do with this, but
Shakira shakes your hips, makes the wind.
I think the word you're looking for is secure.
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 Shakira. Whatever.
Tongue-tied.
Ah, the largest hailstone. I'm going to pop a picture of this one up here. This thing from the Mount Rushmore State. A chunk of ice hurtling towards the ground is too large when you're worried about your car, your home, or your crops. But some thunderstorms are able to grow so strong that they create hailstorms larger than baseballs. Excuse me. And a handful of thunderstorms produce chunks of ice large enough to leave craters in the ground. This largest hailstone ever recorded fell in Vivian, South Dakota on the afternoon of July 23rd, 2010. The hailstone was nearly the size of a volleyball, measuring 8 inches in diameter and weighing almost 2 pounds. Meteorologists estimate that updraft winds, the unstable air shooting up into the storm, had to have blown 160 to 180 miles per hour to sustain the weight of such a massive hailstone. Can you imagine?
I can imagine the sound it would make when it hits a car windshield.
Imagine what it would sound like when it hits you in the head.
Well, that'd probably be the
Last thing you hear.
So this is roughly the size of the largest hailstone ever recorded. Can you imagine this sucker hitting you in the head at over 100 miles per hour? That hardly did a damn thing. Storm chasers need to mount these all over their cars.
I'd like to think it would make kind of like a
squish,
scrunch,
It's
splort would probably be a good.
I like hashtag
splort. Yes, let's get that one going out there along with blob squatch.
Yes,
blob squatch. Blob squatch and splort. Try to say those back to back quickly. Blob squatch, splort. Not easy.
Not really strange. Just this is something typical that we tend to see in the into the Midwest. Ozarks. Scary weather. We see it.
Which, fun fact here, actually, I was watching a thing on the Discovery Channel one time talking about most extreme weather around the world. And the Ozarks region, we made the joke at the beginning of the episode about if you can't take the heat, wait 5 minutes. The Ozarks region that we live in does actually have the most inconsistent weather in the world. Where you can seriously, we make the joke that you can experience all 4 seasons in the course of a week, and sometimes less than that. Sometimes it could be a day or two.
Well, back in 90, 95, 94, in the 90s, we actually experienced all 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah.
We started off with cool rain, springtime rains. That afternoon it was in the mid 80s. Upper 80s. Had a tornado that afternoon, that evening, and then the next morning there was 2 inches of snow.
Snow on the ground, yeah.
So yeah, it can't happen.
Well, just a couple years ago, where the biggest snow we had of the year was on May 15th, middle of May.
Yes,
and
yes.
We got the biggest snow of the year after it had been in like the upper 80s for the whole week before that.
I remember that. That was weird. How to know you live in the Midwest? Tornado signs are going up and people are still out there yards playing.
Oh yeah.
That literally was happening right across the street.
The guy in Canada.
Well, see, I grew up in Tornado Alley. So when we first moved back, when my family first moved back to Springfield, this was late 80s. I was probably in the 5th grade, I think, and there tornado sirens were going off. Well, Springfield specifically sits up on a plateau, and so we don't get tornadoes in town. It's very rare. Basically, a tornado would actually have to form directly over the city from start to finish for it to actually come down and touch the ground. Other than that, if it comes in from anywhere else, it's going to hit the plateau, it's going to lose pressure and fall apart. Unless it's going down the I-44 corridor. But anyway, I'm getting into all the technical stuff that you don't understand.
Another tangent.
Anyway, I used to work for a weather channel, so so the tornadoes we get here are even around here, like outside the plateau, are nothing compared to where I grew up at. So for us, tornadoes going off, or sirens going off and everything. My mom and dad were out in the garage working on their truck. My sister and I are playing in the living room, and we're going outside and looking at all the weather whenever it's would stop, take a break from raining and hailing and stuff. Well, this lady from across the street had come over, and she had just moved here from California, so she had never experienced a tornado before. And so she's terrified. She's home alone, and asked if she could hang out with us until the whole thing blew over. So we're like, yeah, sure, come on over. Well, I remember at one point in time, my sister and I had gone outside, and I actually got blown over by the wind at one point. And I remember looking up, and we actually see the rotation, the funnel coming over our house. And so we all run out into the driveway. We're like, oh, look at that, just check it out. And this lady is screaming, you people are crazy! What's wrong with you? It's really, this is nothing. I mean, I remember being a kid and watching 4 tornadoes collide and make one big one. I mean, there was...
That sounds epic.
Oh, it was awesome.
I've seen some weird things in my college days chasing.
Yeah.
And it gets fun and
See, now
interesting.
that's gonna be a fun news. I'm telling you now, this will happen. That one of these days in the somewhat near future, because we're in storm season right now. We actually have 2 storm seasons in Springfield. We have April, May, and then again in November.
Yeah,
we have another
late October,
season.
early November. Yeah.
But one of these days, there will be an episode of the show that will be the 2 of us in a vehicle chasing a tornado. It will happen. I'm telling you now. I'm telling you now, it will happen.
I don't expect Scooshy to be with us, but yeah, I would enjoy it. I would enjoy it. Wrap us up.
This is one of my favorite ones ever. This is the fastest cold snap. Holy crap, we're running really long today. This is the fastest cold snap ever. The fastest temperature drop ever officially recorded plummeted the mercury in Rapid City, South Dakota, January 10th, 1911. Life on the plains can be rough during the winter. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. That's what happened in 1911. Dr. Walter Lyons recorded in the Handy Weather Answer book that the official weather station in Rapid City measured a temperature of 55 degrees Fahrenheit at 7 a.m. And then just minutes before, an intense cold front plowed through the tiny town. 15 minutes later, the temperature fell to just 8 degrees.
Wow.
15 minutes, it went from 55 to 8, representing a historic 47-degree drop in the outside air temperature in the same time that it takes to boil a pot of pasta. More than 30 years later, in 1943, the nearby town of Spearfish would set a related record for fastest temperature increase, 49 degrees, in just 2 minutes.
That's a big flip flop.
That would be scary.
We've seen it during the summer or early spring rather, where a cold front will come through and we'll be in the 60s and go down to the 30s.
Flash.
Yeah, and we'll go down to 30s pretty quick, but that's extreme for me. Yeah. So tell us what you guys think. If you have anything weird or different in the weather or pictures of any actual experiences you have, go ahead.
We cut things off kind of early yesterday too. The battery on the camera was going dead, so we didn't know if we were getting cut off or not. So if you want to include some of the worst your worst week Wednesday type stuff, you want to put that in the comments. I'm stuttering a lot right now, so I'm going to shut up. So wrap us up.
So. Like, subscribe, click on that little bell button, let you know when we upload the newest video. And as always, we're ending on your Russian clip of the day.
Він зараз наїбнеться, спорим?
I'm Mary Poppins, y'all!